So today we're gonna go through some cultural and philosophical context of pranayama. I'm gonna be very short. I'll try to be because we're over time, but we'll explore some Indian philosophy and tantric perspective, Buddhism perspective, Taoist and martial traditions, and Zen and samurai arts. I wanted to cover more, but we can explore this by ourselves later. So, um, so how Indian philosophy sees pranayama. Prana in Indian philosophy is vital air or energy, and it was first mentioned in Upanishads around 800 to 300 years BC, and prana was held to be the principle of vitality. Prana was at times identified with the self. The five pranas are wind-like vital forces that assist breathing, distribution of food in the body, and digestion. And yoga philosophy emphasizes full control of the prana through the practice of pranayama. It helps to enable meditation without respiratory distraction and for its therapeutic effect on disorders. So, so this is the fourth step in 8 stages or eightfold path. And it eventually leads aspiring to samadhi, a state of perfect concentration. The immediate goal of pranayama is to reduce breathing to an effortless, even rhythm, thus helping to free the individual's mind from attention to bodily functions. And yoga recognizes 4 states of consciousness: waking, sleep with dreams, sleep without dreams, in a state resembling cataleptic consciousness, and each of them has its own respiratory rhythm. And so by prolonging each respiration as long as possible in simulation of the unconscious states, during which respiration is slower than in the normal waking state, the yogi ultimately learns to pass from one state to another without loss of consciousness. And according to tantric perspective, pranayama is the process of breath control along with the imposition of the ideation of supreme consciousness. So it's not only on the body level, we also try to, in tantric philosophy, we try to concentrate on the supreme consciousness, so it helps to move towards it and to regulate ourselves in the process and to achieve a better concentration. So the process by which the pranas in the body are controlled is called pranayama. There are different names for these 10 vital forces, and the collective name is prana. If you wish to increase your perceptive power, you must control the prana. Through regular practice, the mind will become concentrated. And pranayama is meant for sadhakas, for spiritual practitioners. It is better for non-sadhakas not to take the risk of injuring themselves by doing pranayama, because it's a very powerful practice, and it needs to be practiced. It's not supposed to be practiced without the permission of an acharya. And it is also very beneficial for the physical body. Special pranayama practices are prescribed for specific diseases even. So now we'll explore how it was represented in Buddhism. In Buddhism, it's called not pranayama, but anapanasati. anapanasati, meaning mindfulness of breathing. And it is the act of paying attention to the breath. It is the quintessential form of Buddhist meditation, attributed to Gautama Buddha and described in several suttas, most notably the Anapanasati Sutta. And derivations of Anapanasati are common to Tibetan, Zen, Tiantai, and Theravada Buddhism, as well as Western-based mindfulness programs. So there is a story that is taken from some spiritual book. I provide the link in resources on the resources page. I want to read it. I heard these words of the Buddha one time when he was staying in Savatthi. O bhikkhus, the full awareness of breathing, if developed and practiced consciously, will be rewarding and bring great advantages. It will lead to success in practicing the 4 establishments of mindfulness. If the method of the 4 establishments of mindfulness is developed and practiced consciously, it will lead to success in the practice of the 7 factors of awakening. The 7 factors of awakening, if developed and practiced consciously, will give rise to understanding and liberation of the mind. What is the way, somebody asks, to develop and practice consciously the method of full awareness of breathing so that the practice will be rewarding and offer great benefit? And he answers, it is like this, bhikkhus. The practitioner goes into the forest, or to the foot of a tree, or to any deserted place, sits stably in the lotus position, holding his or her body quite straight, and practices like this. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. And it repeats, but with different points of concentration. So breathing in a long breath, I know I'm breathing in a long breath. The same with breathing out. Then a short breath. Then I am aware of my whole body. I calm my whole body. I feel joyful. I feel happy. I am aware of my mental formations. I calm my mental formations. I am aware of my mind. I make my mind happy. I concentrate my mind. I liberate my mind. I observe the impermanent nature of all dharmas. I observe the disappearance of desire. Breathing in, I observe the no birth, no death nature of all phenomena. And when the practitioner breathes in or out a long or a short breath, aware of his breath or his whole body, or aware that he is making his whole body calm and at peace, he abides peacefully in the observation of the body in the body, persevering, fully awake, clearly understanding his state, gone beyond all attachments and aversion to this life. These exercises of breathing with full awareness belong to the first establishment of mindfulness, the body. So it's from the discourse on the full awareness of breathing. All right. The next one is the perspective on Taoist and martial traditions. One of them is called, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Kui Kong. So to study and at times practice what one has learned, is that not a pleasure? Was said by Confucius. So Qi Gong is the Chinese word for life energy, and according to Chinese medicine, Qi is the animating power that flows through all living things. A living being is filled with it. A dead person has no more Qi. The warmth, the life energy is gone. A healthy individual has more than one who is ill. However, health is more than an abundance of Qi. Health implies that the Qi in our bodies is clear, rather than polluted and turbid, and flowing smoothly, like a stream not blocked or stagnant. It is also the life energy one senses in nature. The earth itself is moving, transforming, breathing, and alive with ki. Modern scientists speak the same language as ancient poets when they call the earth Gaia, a living being. When we appreciate the beauty of animals, fish, birds, flowers, trees, mountains, the deep ocean, and floating clouds, we are sensing their ki and feeling an intuitive unity with them. Human beings are part of nature and share ki with the rest of the earth. There was also a Kyudo, or archery, and it was practiced in Zen and samurai arts. So this is the science of archery, and it's very closely connected with the breathing also. It's not just a physical exercise or used for improving our skills in archery. It's also very closely connected to spirituality and breathing, consequently. So Takeuchi Masakuni mentioned, when we face the target, it is like a mirror that reflects our heart. We must confront ourselves in this mirror. Kyudo is a Japanese martial art of archery. Kyudo is based on Kyujutsu, art of archery, which originated with the samurai class of feudal Japan. Kyudo places great importance on a calm, focused mind, what is often described as mushin, no mind. Practitioners seek to eliminate distraction, fear, or ego during shooting. In the beginning, if you forget about focusing on your breath, you will easily lose concentration. Always keep your breath in your center. From Zenbo. Ikiai, breath, this is the connection between all archers. From beginning to end, no matter who or where, we are all given the gift of breath. Yeah, that was it. Some resources are here. So, sutras, discourse on the full awareness of breathing, tantric perspective is Ananda Marga Charya Part 3. Martial traditions, there's a good book that is called The Way of Yin Kong, The Art and Science of Chinese Energy Healing. And unfortunately, I didn't have time to cover indigenous and shamanic cultures or ancient Greece and Rome, Sufi Islam, and modern derivative systems, but everyone is welcome to explore it by themselves. It's very fascinating.
The quick one is particularly funny.
Do you have any questions?
I just want to breathe.
I have a question about pranayama within the yogic tradition. So what are the dangers of practicing pranayama?
So, as far as I know, the danger is that it increases your energy and strength. So if you practice it correctly. And also when you need to inhale, then how to say, задержать дыхание. Hold your breath and then exhale. And when you hold your breath for a long time, in that moment, all the thoughts that you are thinking are going to be imprinted in your mind very hard. That's one explanation. So if you're thinking or you're in a state of anger or greed or jealousy, and you cannot control it, these emotions will get stuck with you for some time or for a long time. This is my understanding, but maybe Nirmal knows better.
I think you explained it beautifully. I'm just trying to find this one slide where they show different location of different values or vital energies that together comprise prana in the body. So prana is a singular word, but it's combined of different vayus, which is vayus means different winds. And there are 5 external and 5 internal. Madhuvidya lists them together, but 5 of them are inside the body, 5 of them outside the body. So for the external values, it's outside the body, they control different motions, different styles of motions of the body. And the internal ones regulate different operations within the body. They are connected with the nervous system, with the endocrine system, and other systems. I'm just trying to find it, pull it out, but I may not be able to find them very easily. But the idea is if you, yeah, just like Madhuvidya says, if you, for example, some people like to do very fast kind of pranayamas, like Kapalabhati or other kind of very fast breathing. Physiologically speaking, if you read this book called The Science of Yoga, I've heard that if you breathe very fast, you replete oxygen from your brain, and if you replete oxygen from your brain, you can faint, you can lose your conscience. And so that's clearly has very bad repercussions for you if you just exhaust yourself to the point where you just do it. Alternatively, another explanation that Madhuvidya was touching on is that if you lack spiritual ideation, means if you don't repeat the mantra, if you don't focus on the spiritual idea, then whatever is in your mind, whatever kind of emotion, whatever kind of pattern of thinking, you will overstimulate it. You will over increase it to such an extent that you will not be able to control it. In other words, your energy in your body will predominate over your consciousness and over your conscience. So you will not be able to control yourself. So potentially, if you feel anxious, if you feel afraid, if there's this pattern of thinking in you, or just like Madhavidi was saying, there's jealousy, and if you overdo it, the jealousy will not go away, but it will increase to such an extent that you will act on it. And if you act on something destructive as jealousy or anger or something like this, then you will reap the consequences of that action. And then when you regain your consciousness, slow down, sit down, and you're like, wow, what did I do? Well, you abused prana, you abused energy. There may be other explanations, of course.
Question, either Nirmal or Marina can answer. Can you hear me? Yeah. So you were just explaining how the if not uh, if not dealt with, or if not like quenched, that overstimulation of certain emotions would become predominant over your consciousness. And I wanted to know if I don't want to fumble over the pronunciation, but the pranayama, does that mean that the practicing of it balances out or sort of um, cleanses those unhealthy emotions from the mental awareness? Or maybe I understood it mistakenly.
I pressed the wrong one. Madhuvidya, why don't you try to explain?
I don't think I have an answer to this.
Well, I do.
Oh, you do.
How come you do it? You don't practice it, man. How come you have an answer to this?
Well, that's the funny part. You don't need to practice it to understand
You
how it
absolutely
actually.
have to. You absolutely have to.
Brother, this is not about breathing and thinking. This is more about psychology for once. Uh, Something that this whole practice of focusing in meditation does to people is, generally speaking, if you don't go too far into it, and enables people to touch upon their emotions and become more emotionally stable. However, as explained to you, if you're unstable and you don't formally handle that part of you and then engage with these activities, you risk accelerating or engaging with these emotions in a way that is unhealthy. Does it cleanse? Not necessarily. A lot of meditations I've really seen in many of these classes, as well as many of the practices around these practices, can help you handle certain parts of you better than not. But if you truly feel like you are dealing with now an amount of anxiety or an amount of stress that is abnormal to your life, and you start to think that potentially meditation can be the answer is not, it's not really the answer. It can help a lot, definitely. But without guided help from professionals in your life, especially if you feel particularly unstable and supported, you are engaging with risks that you have to handle yourself. And in an unstable situation or an unstable emotional state, you cannot really do that safely. So the recommendation would be, if you have trauma or you have some kind of emotion that you're trying to handle, first handle that to an extent where you feel comfortable engaging with yourself, and then engage with these things as a form of healing, not as a cure, but as a method by which you can lick over your wounds and become a better human over time. However, if your foundation is not there and you're trying to do this as a form of escapism, for instance, you will make it worse for yourself over time. So that's how you would be interpreting these classes and how you would interpret these lessons, if you will. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, thank you. That was quite comprehensive explanation. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I actually acted out of impulse. I'm a demonstration of what happens. So imagine if I was meditating on or fixating on an idea or an emotion more. I actually would lose my control even more as the person would. But I repeated my mantra afterwards. And if you, the key with pranayama, especially within the Marga tradition, like one thing that Max has said, yes, it's very important to do it under the supervision of a professional, which in the yogic sense is an acharya, is somebody who's dedicated their life towards teaching and practice it. So they practice it, they reflect on it, and they teach it. They know the theory and they do the practice. So they two go hand in hand together. So the specific pranayama that Ananda Margis do, firstly, they only receive it as a fourth lesson. What precedes what precedes the practice of pranayama in Ananda Marga tradition is that the person has to be established in the moral code of conduct, habits, yama niyamas, which are like spiritual habits of like really, it's like mental cleanliness, the discipline, the character education that you have to be not only be aware of, but you have to implement in every sphere of your life: physical, mental, social, and spiritual. The second one is yama niyama. You have to be able to discipline your body by doing asanas, so proper exercise, proper balanced nutrition, balanced sleep, balanced, yeah, every sphere of your life. And then those preceding free practices in Ananda Marga tradition, those so-called personal lessons, which an aspirant receives after the initiation. The first one is Ishvara Pranidhana, or it's a formal meditation process that one learns, which comprises of different preliminary stages of meditation, where you learn to cleanse your environment, cleanse your body, mental body, and then you cleanse your mind, your thoughts, and your emotions. And then you learn how to focus on a certain point, and you learn to receive your personal mantra called Ishta mantra. And it's a two-syllable mantra, and it focuses you on a spiritual idea, on your spiritual goal. So that, going back to your initial question during the session, you said, how does one embrace the cosmic mind? They embrace it through the holistic practices of the 8 limbs of yoga, 8 practices of yoga. So just what I mentioned, and you do it through this first lesson in Ananda Marga. Then the second lesson is called Madhuvidya, or honey knowledge. You take a special mantra before every action. It's another second personal lesson that we do in order to constantly not be internally in touch with this cosmic mind, but also externally. When you do music, when you eat, when you sleep, when you talk to somebody, you always are still connected with the Supreme Being. And that helps you to be always in this meditative state, always in a state of balance, always in a state of peace and clarity and harmony. Now, the third one is the third personal lesson. It's called Chakra Dharana. Chakra Dharana means you focus on those nervous centers in your body and you strengthen each chakra. So basically you strengthen your nervous system, endocrine system, and the you can say the primal or the spiritual system, like the causal system, all of those nervous centers, those how do you say, those chakras. And only then, the fourth one is pranayama. Only then you receive this personal lesson. And what makes it special is that you focus on a special point in your body, and you do very regimented, very regulated kind of practice. You do the breath control. You control your prana, but you must also connect it with a spiritual idea. So you not only work with energy, you're continuing to work with consciousness. And that prevents us from, any hazards that can happen with pranayama. So like physiologically, we are not running out of breath, we're not like depleting our oxygen from our brain, and we are focusing our mind and our body on something. So we're developing this focus, we're developing this volition, we're developing this intention. Yeah, this is everything. I just noted that how do I unpin us? Why did I pin us in such a strange way? Such an awkward. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I think this is it. I'll stop recording.